Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another bit of bonus footage from the Gaslamp ASMR channel here. This bit of video is related to the Math Tools video that we did quite a few months ago now. That video was intended to include two slide rules. The simple student-oriented wooden one that you saw in the video, and a more precise metal slide rule that was meant for engineering work or scientific work or work out in industry. I ordered both used online, and the wooden one came in time to do the video, and the metal one did not. And I didn't want to lose a week on my filming of the video, so I decided to just go ahead and do the video with the one slide rule that I had. And that turned out to be probably for the best for the video itself, because that video probably didn't need a second slide rule in it. But the metal one did come in later, and I thought it would be fun to do a very, very short show and tell on the metal one as a bit of a bonus feature. So this is it. It came in a kind of a woven, almost a felt style pouch, protective pouch. It's got stitching along the edges and then a flap on the end. And the rule itself looks like this. This is much more the traditional kind of engineering slide rule that you would have seen in use at universities or in industry. Certainly whenever they show up in movies, period pieces, it's generally this kind of a rule. You can see that the basic concept is the same, with a sliding bit in the center, but there are many more scales than the wooden one that we looked at before. It's also double-sided. There are just as many scales on the other side. So it can do a lot of different functions. Indeed, any company that was making slide rules back in the day, the main factor that differentiated slide rules was the selection of the scales that were included, because that determined the kind of arithmetic functions that you could do with the rule. So what we see is, on this guy, if we look a little more closely, this is a Model 500 slide rule. If we go to the other end, we see a logo that says P and E. And we flip it over, and we see that the name of the company from Chicago is Pickett and Eckel Incorporated. This was a company that started making slide rules in the mid-1940s. And this particular rule would have been made in the late 40s, probably 1948. I bought it used, of course, from eBay at a very reasonable price. And the reason the price was reasonable, as is the case with most things on eBay, is that the condition is not great. You will notice little dots, little bumps in this area and in this area You also see them to a lesser degree here and here. Slide rules from this company in particular and from this era, when their condition starts deteriorating, you will see this is very typical of the kind of deterioration that you'll see, and there's a specific reason for that, and it has to do with the material that this slide rule is made from. Back in the 40s, when this company was making slide rules, the aluminum alloys that were available at the time were not very easy to machine. And so they made these rules out of a more machinable alloy, which was a magnesium alloy. So this is a magnesium alloy slide rule. They did move to aluminum in the 1950s. But the thing about magnesium alloy is that it oxidizes very easily. So these bumps that you see at the ends are oxidation that has begun underneath the paint layer, probably due to handling. You can see that most of the bumps are on the ends, and when you see me handle the rule just like this, it's where the fingers and the thumbs probably spent most of the time when manipulating the rule. So the sweat and the oils from the skin worked their way through the yellow paint and has started causing the magnesium alloy to oxidize. It's just a trait of magnesium alloy. It's just a very, very common wear that you'll see from slide rules from this era. I don't know if I can get the phone to focus on this little edge here, but this exposed magnesium edge here, you'll see kind of a white, almost like a white corrosion type material on the surface. I did clean this up a little bit, but you can still see that this exposed magnesium alloy surface has got a bit of a white, almost like a coating on it. And that's the corrosion that I'm talking about. It does one aspect of this rule, though, that I really enjoy because of its slightly deteriorated condition, but something that I can't really convey in this video, is this indicator movement. It's pretty smooth. It feels nice and well, what's the word I want to use? It's got a nice bit of resistance to it. It doesn't slide super easy, which you don't want it to, because you want to be able to hold a position when you're trying to read the needle on the indicator. But the little metal slides at the top and bottom edge, when they slide across this slightly lumpy corrosion layer, it just feels nice. I shouldn't talk about it because it's not something that you're going to get through this video, but there's just a great tactile quality. I mean, a slide rule is a tactile instrument in the first place, but this indicator just feels fantastic as it rubs against the slightly rough surface of these exposed edges. It's just very nice. It's a tactile instrument, and it's a visual instrument, as we talked about in the Math Tools video. The thing that makes a slide rule like this more precise or accurate, quote unquote, than the student rule that we saw is the size of the rule. It's longer, which means all of the lines on the various scales are spaced farther apart than on the student rule that we looked at, and you can get more lines on the scales because everything is spaced farther apart. And the precision and the detail of the screening of the artwork against the yellow paint means that hopefully you can visually line up this indicator against the lines behind it more precisely. This is not a super precise instrument compared to something like a calculator, but as we talked about last time, many times you didn't need, 6 decimal places worth of precision, and a very precise indicator and very detailed screening allowed you to get 3 significant figures from a device like this, whereas you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that with the wooden one that we looked at. But anyway, like I said, I had intended to include this in the other video, but it came in too late, so I thought I'd give it a few minutes in the sun here as a bonus video. And the other funny little PS to this is that I got very interested in just learning a little bit more about how slide rules work after I did that Math Tools video. Just learning the basics of that wooden slide rule kind of got me a little bit fired up on the subject, and I got a bit taken with the notion that it would be kind of cool if I learned a little bit about how to use a slide rule for simple functions. I got a little bit attached to the anachronistic quality of that. So I thought, well, how could I facilitate that? And just to prove that pretty much anything that you might want is out there on the internet if you hunt for it, I found and printed out this. It's a slide rule textbook. The Slide Rule, a complete manual, written by Alfred Slater, who was on faculty at Los Angeles City College. And this is a textbook on the slide rule that came out in 1967. And I somewhat resolved to, in my spare time, to use this textbook and the nicer slide rule here that I got for the video and slowly pick away at learning the slide rule. This is a very detailed academic textbook with problems, a lot of problems to solve. It's got a ton of chapters that talk about the individual scales and problem types that you can solve with the slide rule. And so I took this book and this slide rule to work with me, where it's been ever since. And I keep it in my desk drawer at work. And every once in a while, when I get a little bit of spare time in between things that I'm doing, or I'm just looking for something to divert my mind for a moment, I get out the slide rule book. This probably sounds kind of ridiculous, okay, but I get out the slide rule book and work another couple of problems in the book. Now, I will be quick to confess that I haven't made it out of Chapter 1 yet. And Chapter 1 is all about estimation and locating the decimal point in the final answers of problems. I'm almost to the end of Chapter 1 because I don't get to work on this every week. So just the small little picking away that I've done, I'm almost to the end of Chapter 1. But since Chapter 1 is about the decimal point, haven't actually gotten to any problems that deal with starting to learn the first scales of the slide rule yet. You can see all my scribblings here as I work these problems. Looks like I'm up to problem 17 in this last batch of problems. Then I'll be on to chapter 2, reading the C and D scales, which are these, the C and D scales right there. Yeah, my momentum hasn't been very strong on this little mild lowercase bucket list item, but it's something that I guess it's one of the other rabbit holes that I tumbled down due to content on this channel. One of the blessings that was very unexpected. You know, I'm interested in a great many things, right? I'm interested in a whole bunch of things that I really don't know much about. And so often, so far in this last year and a half or whatever it is, you know, even though I might pick a topic for a video for the channel for reasons of nostalgia or personal interest, it will spur me to poke on it a little bit and try to find a little more information. And this is yet another example. So now I have a slide rule in my desk at work with a textbook, picking away at it ever so slowly. And the thought of doing something like that before Gaslamp ASMR was a thing would have been just a silly notion. And now we are here. Not a big deal by any means, but just another little facet that the channel has unexpectedly brought into my life, supported and inspired by all of your wonderful comments. So thank you for your participation on this journey. So there we are, a little bonus video time spent with the Metal Pickett and Eckel Model 500 slide rule. Until next time, thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.